Hi everybody with the School of Human Services. Hope you have had a great semester. I'm aware of the great work that you've been doing and really appreciate what you have done for our students and for our institution. I know through your classes and advising and work with each of them that you're making a difference in their lives, and I appreciate that. So today is our school meeting, Wednesday, December 9th, and thought I would review a few of the things prior to the meeting for those of you that maybe cannot attend. We will be covering the minutes from October and November meetings. Of course, we didn't have a face-to-face in November. Of course, we have a rich tradition of birthday celebrations, so we will celebrate the birthdays of Caitlin Mock, Mary Jo Rutherford, Brian Floyd, Lori Matheny, Ashley Summers, Rusty Taylor, Ariel Masturso, and Diane Watson. So happy birthday to each of them. And our Board of Governors, they met this past Friday. They had a board retreat. It was primarily informational, and I know that Barbara has some things to share from that. I don't believe the board will meet again until February, so if you have some issues between now and then that you feel need to go to the board, certainly contact Barbara and she'll convey those, I'm sure. Our Faculty Senate meets this Friday, and I'm not sure that David will make it to the meeting today, but do hope that all of you will make it to that Senate meeting. I think there's a relatively light agenda that day, but they do need, do need your attendance. So plan for that. And some informational items for the school this month. The Assistant Vice President of Enrollment Services has been named. That's Lila Grandstaff. Congratulations to Lila, and I know that she has been working on planning for that office, both from student service perspective as well as from an enrollment standpoint. She met with the board as well on Friday to outline a plan for enrollment services. The program viability review was unveiled to the board on Friday, and as part of that, it was a 110-page study, so good for insomnia if you're having trouble sleeping these days. I'll release that so that you have it in a PDF form. And in that program viability review, there were a few parts. So the first part was primarily financial, really looking at the institutional position of academics and instruction versus non-instruction expenses, looking at some of the historical nature of our funding and how it has declined over the past 2 or 3 years, and looking at a comparison with our peer institutions as well related to our financial positions. So that was the first part. The second part really had to do with individual program reviews, and each part contained an enrollment piece that looked at headcount and FTE enrollment over the past 5 years. That also looked at traditional and non-traditional student enrollment, and then looked at graduation rates over the past 5 years, actually numbers of graduations. And then in addition to that, there was some employment data, so we looked at projections from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics for the 10-year period of 2012 through 2022, also identifying median incomes for people entering those industries, hopefully our graduates, and then a budget piece that for each, which identified the annual budget for each program, the revenue projected for each program per FTE, so that would be tuition and fee revenue, and then other revenues and costs associated with each program. Each program was assigned an indirect cost. It really was made up of three points. One was auxiliaries and capital costs, so that's for like bond payment and so forth. The second was administrative cost, which would include costs for non-instruction, so all of the other departments and staff and operational budgets that make that up. And then lastly, the a school cost, which includes my salary and our assistants and operating budgets for that. That would be spread out through each of the programs. It also included a narrative piece which identified some of the strengths of each program and some of the opportunities going forward. Some interesting things came out of the program viability review. First of all, it created some baseline data, which was really vital. It's very difficult to make good decisions without good data, and so trying to create a model by which we can look at that regularly, annually, hopefully. And but also to do that, it requires some institutional research, which of course we don't have an institutional researcher. So that discussion, or the looking at the possibility of from a community college system standpoint, I think they're considering perhaps hiring some researchers that community colleges could share, and that would have common data among them to be able to not only to use individually, but then to look at when we report. So that was an important element of the review. Something else that was really glaring out of that is our dramatic decline in non-traditional enrollments, and so that was something that really we acknowledged and something that needs to be addressed. It's a critical area that we have double-digit declines pretty much in every school of non-traditional enrollments. And then speaking of enrollment, we broke each program down by FTE, and it really, I think, allows for the possibility for targeted enrollment recruitment. So program by program, rather than saying we need a total of 100 FTE, for example, for the institution, we can go program by program and say, well, we need 3 additional FTE here and 7 additional FTE there and 12 additional FTE there, so that we can begin to look at program by program, particularly from our AVP of Enrollment Services person with our program coordinators and faculty, and really be very deliberate about who we're targeting for enrollment recruitment. And so those were some of the things that came out of that study. Again, it really was presented as a baseline from which we can make decisions going forward. Speaking of budget, the Budget Committee will be looking at the FY17 budget, that's 2016-17, and Dale has asked me to lead that process this coming year. So I'll be asking each of you for what your programmatic needs may be. If they change in any way projected over the next year, please let me know. Next, we're looking for suggestions for a graduation speaker. So commencement is on May 13th, and we need both the main speaker as well as a student speaker. So please be thinking about suggestions you might have there. Some dates coming up. Of course, it's finals week, which means grades are due Monday, December 14th at 4 o'clock. Those of you applying for tenure, those applications are due Tuesday, December 15th. Our professional development week next semester will be January 11th through the 15th. That happens to have January 12th, which is the legislative day, so I'm not quite sure how that'll work into our scheduling. First day of classes is Tuesday, January 19th. Of course, we're off the 18th for Martin Luther King Day. Spring break is March 14th through the 18th, so get your swimsuits ready. And lastly, if you would schedule in assessment day on April 15th, no classes for that particular day. So again, I hope all of you get a very restful break, a much needed and well deserved. I hope you're able to spend time with friends and family, and I want to thank you again for your hard work over this semester. I value each of you, and I'm available if you need anything. Please stop by and see me or shoot me an email, and I'll look forward to seeing each of you either at the Cookie Exchange or very soon. So thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.